the last headline I really wanted to go over, and this was huge news. We all know Jack Dorsey stepped down from Twitter, but he also has his company called Block. I think it used to be called was it Square? And Block is responsible for Cash App, and Cash App basically, as you can see here, Lightning Network is now available on Cash App, and it's the fastest free, yes, I said it, free way to pay anyone in Bitcoin, to transfer among friends, to send, cross-border payments, all this sort of stuff. And with Lightning Network, it sort of alleviates the tension from the considered slow in comparison to other cryptos, because the block time in Bitcoin is a lot slower than like whether you're sitting on XLM or XRP or Avalanche or all these other coins are a lot faster. But with Lightning Network, it's essentially a layer 2 on top of the Bitcoin network that allows you to send transactions much faster and much cheaper. And now it's integrating with Cash App, which is a huge deal. It's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. And I'm curious with you, your thoughts on this, Jebb. How do you think this is going to ripple, not XRP, but just, ripple through the markets in terms of the understanding, awareness, and even like utilization in places instead of something like Western Union or these other remittances sending cross-border? Do you think this is going to have more of a inclusive, like it's going to bring people on the lower trajectory of retail markets to be basically involved in the crypto and Bitcoin networks, because now they can send stuff like this cross-border to families if you're working here and sending money back home to Mexico, or even pay between staff. How do you feel like this is going to ripple through the markets?
No, it's going to have huge effects, and we've already seen it happening in El Salvador. We actually, while we were at the North American Bitcoin conference, unfortunately there was an audio issue, but I actually interviewed the man that put together all of the onboarding and security for the wallets in El Salvador. They brought on 4 million people in the span of 90 days. They had to build a tamper-proof, hack-proof, fraud-proof system that could bring on an entire nation to use Bitcoin for remittances. And they are saving about 1% of El Salvador's GDP on remittances. 22 to 24% of El Salvador's entire gross domestic product was international bank transfers in the form of remittances. And if those bank transfers have between a 3 to 6% on average transaction fee on them, you take 3 to 6% of 22%, you got about 1% of gross domestic product going to bank fees. I'm sorry, Wells Fargo, El Salvador needs that money more than you do. It's that simple. What the man said, Justin Newton is his name, what he said from stage got a standing ovation in front of 3,000 people. He said, if we can save people $4 on transaction fees, that's enough money to feed a family of 4 lunch. And I had chills go down my spine when he said that. That put every hair on my body standing up. It got me so excited for what Bitcoin is doing. That right there is financial sovereignty. He got a standing ovation for it, and he deserved it, because El Salvador is better now for having Bitcoin. Lightning Network and the layer 2s that are built on top of Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space are doing that around the world. That's one of the reasons I love Cardano. So yes, absolutely, that's going to have a big impact. Yes, absolutely, Cash App adopting this is going to have a big impact. Yes, absolutely, KPMG adopting Bitcoin and buying Bitcoin and Ether is going to have a huge impact, because like you said, it's lining up the dominoes and knocking them down. If you've ever seen that meme where you got one tiny domino that knocks over a bigger domino that knocks over a bigger domino, and then soon enough you're knocking over like one of the stones from Stonehenge, that size of a domino, that's what we're seeing right now, guys. We've seen it happening in droves over the last 10 years, but it's been picking up. 4 years ago when I got into cryptocurrency, it was unthinkable to think that a Tesla would adopt Bitcoin. It was unthinkable to think that a thing like Bakkt would launch. It was unthinkable to think that Starbucks would partner with Bakkt and would be accepting Bitcoin and crypto. It was unthinkable, all of these things. That Microsoft would be moving into metaverse in the area of blockchain gaming. That was insane. And now it's back of the it's back of the newspaper news. It's boring. We talk about, oh look, a company that does $34 billion a year in revenue, or whatever it is, $30 billion a year in revenue, just adopted Bitcoin Ether. Okay, whatever. Yeah, I saw that last week. That's what we're talking about here, guys. Sometimes some of the biggest, most groundbreaking news that changes the course of human history is not on the front page the day that it happens, but it is in the front page of the chapter in the history books, because when you look at it in hindsight, you realize how important it was. And that's what we're seeing happen right now with all of these different news stories. When we're seeing Cash App adopting Bitcoin, when we're seeing KPMG adopting Bitcoin, when we're seeing all of these Major news stories that right now we think are nothing because, oh, we're so worried about Bitcoin's price being down from all-time high. Oh, no, it's been in a downtrend for 3 months. I'm not knocking that. I understand a lot of people are down a lot of money. I am not invalidating your fear. That's not what I'm trying to do. But what I am trying to do is give you perspective and make sure you realize that the long-term fundamentals are the thing that matter, because in 10 years, you're not going to worry about a 3-month downtrend. You're going to remember that the fundamentals put you where you are today financially, and I hope that we can be a part in helping you to get there.
Here's a question I do have, Kelly. I don't know if the article said anything or if you've seen anything about this. Is there a limit on how much can be sent via Cash App?
I haven't seen that. Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I thought it was interesting because, obviously we had that article the other day about the bill that's going to be presented to allow Bitcoin transactions under $200 to be untaxed. Is this a way that we don't, is there going to be a bill that negates Cash App's ability to do this? Is this going to flow with it? Is Cash App going to adopt that number 200 and say, okay, anything under 200 is free, everything over that, then obviously due to regulation is going to have to be taxed? I want to see what happens there. I do think, though, what's really cool, and I don't think this is one of the headlines we were really going to talk that much about, but that article that came out, it's not a very important article in the grand scheme of things, but the JP Morgan asset management exec who said he's tempted to get Bitcoin, but he's not going to do it just yet. I thought it was really interesting because one of the things he said is he's like, you're not seeing any transactions of Bitcoin whatsoever. This completely changes that. This, Lightning Network on Cash App is actually going to allow people to be moving Bitcoin and sending it and receiving it a lot more. So I wonder if JP Morgan's asset manager, what was his name? I have it right here. Michael Kembalist, I don't know how you pronounce his name, but I wonder if this is going to change it for him, because he's like, I'm so tempted to buy it, but I don't see it as gold just yet, and I don't see it as being a fiat currency. So right now I'm going to stay out of it. I wonder if this is what pushes him over the edge.
It's really funny. Jamie Dimon is losing control over JP Morgan's culture because everybody at JP Morgan wants to buy Bitcoin. I know people that work at JP Morgan. There's a bunch of people working at that company like, oh, I want to go buy Bitcoin. And Jamie Dimon's out here hating on it. He does not speak for his own company in that area. It's pretty funny. Go ahead, Kelly.
And one of the last things I wanted to share, and this is regards to the Cash App deal, is this right here. These are not wealthy people in many of these countries. They go to other countries to work and send money back home. And this article here, just in relationship to El Salvador, this isn't including Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, Venezuela, like any of these other, and this is globally too. I mean, this right here, just El Salvador alone in 1 year, they're basically taking $400 million back that they're having to give in fees just to send money through a Western Union or one of these other much slower, much more expensive services. So when you have these other services, these crypto projects like Lightning Network layered in with Cash App, you are going to inject $400 million just in El Salvador alone in a year back into the hands of the people, and the money that they earn, that all they're doing is trying to send it home, and they're paying these exorbitant fees that really add up over time. $400 million is a lot of money. I mean, it's hospitals, it's roads, it's new houses, it's the ability to pay and go to college. It's a lot. It's going to have a massive effect moving forward in terms of keeping the money in the hands of the people that made it versus giving it to somebody else just to transact. And that's really what blockchain is about, cutting out that unnecessary middleman.
Yep, $400 million. Unless I am doing some really stupid math, El Salvador's GDP is $25 billion. That's 1.6% of GDP that they're going to get back. That 1.6% of GDP. You know what you would do with an extra 1.6% of your income? If you're making $100,000 a year, that's $1,600. That's a lot of money. That's a whole lot of money. You can feed a family for 2 weeks on that. It's crazy.
So my dad actually just texted me. He must be watching along. He said, Cash App lets you send and receive up to 1,000 within any 30-day period. So you can increase the limits by verifying your identity and your name and birth and all that kind of stuff. So there are some limits, but I think it's adjustable based on what sort of level of verification you have.
That's it. Yeah, and also that is going to serve a lot of people in countries that do not have the same prosperity that America does, where $1,000 is a lot more to somebody living in a nation like Nigeria or in El Salvador than it is in America. $1,000 in America is a lot of money, but it's a lot more money money to a lot of people in the world. So that's something you got to keep in mind. This Cash App story is great for people in the first world and people in very developed nations that are very wealthy, but it's an even bigger story for people out there that really need the help that Bitcoin can provide. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, you should definitely consider subscribing because we're trying to help you become financially free in these cryptocurrency markets. And also, consider following us on Twitter @CryptoJebb for more updates on the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Peace.